In 1984, one movie answered a question nobody knew they were asking. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters wasn't just another comedy. It was a supernatural gamble that nearly drowned in its own slime. But behind the proton packs and the punchlines, the production was pure chaos. The script started in outer space. The iconic Ecto-1 was a mechanical nightmare, and the theme song got dragged into court. Today, we're strapping on our proton packs to bust open the secrets of a blockbuster that should have never worked. If you love discovering the untold stories behind your favorite movies, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because you don't want to miss what we uncover next. Number 10. It was originally a sci-fi epic in space. Dan Aykroyd's first draft of Ghostbusters didn't take place in New York City. It took place across entire galaxies. His script imagined the team as interdimensional warriors, blasting ghosts through wormholes and saving haunted planets. The story was massive, ambitious, and would have cost hundreds of millions of dollars, a number so impossible in the early 80s that the project was nearly dead on arrival. Director Ivan Reitman and co-writer Harold Ramis had to convince Aykroyd to bring the story down to earth. They grounded the cosmic chaos in one city, turning a sprawling space opera into the scrappy, hilarious New York adventure we know and love. Number 9. The Ecto-1 was a piece of junk. The Ghostbusters' iconic ride, the Ecto-1, was almost a complete disaster. Dan Aykroyd's initial idea was a black hearse with purple lights and wild gadgets, more like a bizarre carnival float. The crew scrapped that and instead found a battered 1959 Cadillac ambulance. But the car had its own ghost in the machine. It broke down constantly, and mechanics had to work around the clock just to get it through a single scene. By the end of filming, the Ectomobile was held together with more luck than metal, perfectly mirroring the underdog team it carried. Number 8. The theme song sparked a lawsuit. The Ghostbusters theme song is one of the most famous in movie history, but it was also one of the most controversial. Director Ivan Reitman initially used Huey Lewis's hit "I Want a New Drug" as a temporary track, and even asked Lewis to write the theme. He declined. The job then went to Ray Parker Jr., who delivered an instant classic. But the song's bass line and riff were so similar to "I Want a New Drug" that Huey Lewis's publishers sued for plagiarism. The case was settled out of court, but the ghost of the lawsuit haunted one of the greatest anthems of the 80s. Number 7. The Stay Puft Man was a stuntman in a $20,000 foam suit, stomping through a miniature New York City. Director Ivan Reitman was terrified the giant marshmallow mascot would make the movie look ridiculous and turn the climax into a joke. He sat through the first test screening in a cold sweat. But when Stay Puft appeared on screen, the audience didn't laugh. They cheered at the sheer, glorious absurdity of it all. The monster he feared would sink the movie became its unforgettable icon. Number 6. Winston's role was originally written for Eddie Murphy. In the original script, Winston wasn't a late addition. He was a founding member of the team, a decorated Air Force demolition expert with a huge backstory. The role was written specifically for comedy superstar Eddie Murphy, but Murphy chose to do Beverly Hills Cop instead, and the script was hastily rewritten. Winston's role was drastically reduced, and his introduction was pushed to halfway through the film. The Ghostbuster who was meant to be a founder became an afterthought, a change that actor Ernie Hudson said stunned and disappointed him. Number 5. Sigourney Weaver's crazy audition. When Sigourney Weaver auditioned for the role of Dana Barrett, she didn't just read her lines. To show the director what she could do, she wordlessly got on the floor and began crawling and snarling and contorting her body as if she were being possessed by one of Gozer's demon dogs. The director was stunned and a little bit frightened. Her bold, bizarre, and terrifying performance proved she was the perfect person to ground the film's supernatural chaos with real human emotion. She got the part on the spot. Number 4. The first scare was almost cut from the movie for being too scary. The film's very first ghost encounter, the terrifying librarian ghost that transforms into a screaming monster, was almost removed from the movie. Studio executives argued it was far too scary for a comedy and worried it would make families walk out of the theater. But Ivan Reitman fought to keep it, insisting that the film needed a genuine jolt of terror to establish the stakes. He won, and the scene became a masterclass in blending horror and humor, setting the perfect tone for the rest of the film. Number 3. They almost couldn't use the name Ghostbusters. Believe it or not, the title Ghostbusters was already owned by Filmation, a company that had produced a goofy 1970s kids show of the same name. With lawsuits looming, the production had to use placeholder titles like Ghost Mashers and Ghost Breakers. They even filmed scenes with the actors shouting the wrong names, completely unsure what the final title would be. At the very last minute, the studio struck a deal and secured the rights. The irony? When the animated spin-off was created, they had to call it The Real Ghostbusters, a clever jab at how close they came to losing the perfect title. Number 2. Bill Murray never signed a contract. Bill Murray was the top choice for Peter Venkman, but he refused to sign a contract. Instead, he made a handshake deal. He would do Ghostbusters if the studio agreed to finance his passion project, a serious drama called The Razor's Edge. And then he vanished to France. Weeks before filming, nobody knew if he would actually show up. The studio was panicking, but on the first day of production, Murray walked onto the set with a grin. The studio gambled millions on a verbal promise, and Murray delivered one of the most iconic and improvised comedy performances of all time. Number 1. Slimer is the ghost of John Belushi. Dan Aykroyd wrote the role for Peter Venkman for his close friend and comedy partner, John Belushi. But tragically, Belushi passed away before the script was finished. Aykroyd was shattered, but he made sure his friend's spirit lived on in the film. He asked the effects team to model the famous green ghost, Slimer, after Belushi. They captured his gluttonous party animal energy, and on set, Aykroyd lovingly referred to the puppet as the ghost of Belushi. Slimer isn't just a disgusting blob, he's a tribute to the comedic genius who should have been a Ghostbuster. Ghostbusters started as a wild space epic nobody could afford, was nearly canceled by the studio, and was plagued by chaos from start to finish, and yet it became the highest-grossing comedy of the decade. It gave us Slime, Stay Puft, and a theme song that will live forever. It proved that a risky, ridiculous idea could become a cornerstone of pop culture. If this movie still makes you feel good, drop a comment and tell us your favorite scene. And remember, when there's something strange in your neighborhood, you already know who you're gonna call.